Okay. And Inga and Einar, could you see, I'll need you to be like my co-pilots, and you could tell me if something is not going right, if I need to move things around, okay?
Yeah,
so my name is, perfect, okay. So everyone, hi, my name is Tara Short. I'm the owner of Green Adventures Tours, and I'm really excited to have you all here today to learn about our Greenland Arctic Trails and Tales, a trip that we are offering for the second time in July this year, July 9 through 19, 2025. Last year, we ran our very first tour, and I'm excited to be offering again this year with my team, who I'm going to introduce you in just a few seconds. But the overview for today is we're going to go over introductions. I'll tell you a little bit more about me, and my friends will tell you about them. And we'll talk about Greenland as a destination and why it's so amazing to go to, especially now. We'll do an overview of the tour, and then we will talk about some highlights, and then we'll get into the details too on how to sign up for this trip. And if you're just coming in, just so you know, we'll leave our cameras off for now and have a chance to turn those on at the end. And also, please make sure that you are muted. We'd like to keep this to about 60 minutes, and we'll stick around though to answer any questions you might have. So I'm so happy to see some new faces and new names who are coming across on our for the sign up here, and that is because I would love to introduce you to Green Adventures and what Green Adventures Tours has to offer. So I own Green Adventures, and since 2009, we've been helping people live their dream of having up-close encounters with amazing animals, to hiking some of the world's most beautiful places, and meeting people around the world who inspire them and make the experiences that they're traveling to so much richer. And we started our tours just doing them in Baja, Mexico, and Alaska. And after we ran our first women's tour in 2010, those ladies all said, where are we going to next? And so that's why we have all these new destinations, because ladies like you on our women's trips wanted some more. And so I said, I've got some ideas. And that's where Greenland comes in, is all these trips have been places that I've wanted to go to. And I've just been fortunate enough to build a community of people over 15 years who want to travel to these places with me. And I usually write these destinations on a list. And when the right opportunity comes, that's when I know it's time to go. And I've been leading tours in Iceland since 2017. And in 2023, I was lucky enough to be paired with Ingibjōrg, who is a guide in Iceland. And she's just so much more than a guide. She's an overall amazing person. And one day over a beer, I was saying, Inga, I want to go to Greenland. And she says, I can tell you how to do that. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Ingibjōrg and Einar, so they can tell you about their work and their connection to Greenland.
Yes, thank you, Tara. Yes, so my connection to Greenland is through my husband, Einar. He went on an expedition over the Greenlandic glacier, just like, was it the year after we met, or 2 years after?
Year after.
Year after, yeah. So that was the first time he crossed the Greenlandic glacier. And he completely fell in love with Greenland. And so I went to Greenland a few years later with him, and completely fell in love with Greenland also. And since then, we have been offering tour to Greenlands. Mainly to East Greenland, a little bit to the south, and every once in a while to the west coast. But we really like the east coast, because that's the most remote area, the most authentic and amazing landscape. So, Einar, you wanna?
Yes, hello everybody. My name is Einar, and I've been guiding for the last 35 years. So in Greenland from 1996, and like Ingibjørg said, I have been in love with Greenland. Actually, not even since then, because as a child, I was reading books about expeditions and exploring Greenland, and I was already in love with it, I think, before I came there. But Ingibjørg is actually being a little bit too modest, because she has also worked on a couple of scientific expeditions on the ice cap, and she has stayed once over 2 months on a scientific expedition called North Grip on the ice cap. So she has more experience than just guiding there. And we also have had a couple of occasions to be there only, on vacation with the family. So it's not only for us a working destination, but it's also a place where we would like to go on our own.
Yeah.
Great. And so these two are the people that will be, they're the heart behind and the logistics behind our expedition to East Greenland. And they have combined about 70 years experience. So each about 35 years experience as guides, entrepreneurs, and they're great storytellers. They are great at dealing with things when they don't go exactly as planned. And I'm honored to have them as part of my team and to help, and for me to connect you with them, because they will be your friends for life after you come on one of our tours. So Greenland. Now, Greenland is a nature seeker's paradise. And I know that I was drawn to wanting to go to Greenland for the sheer idea of going someplace that few people have gone before. And I know that it's one of the last great frontiers. And but what Greenland really has to offer us is, like it says here, a nature seeker's paradise. So much of the land there is brand new. It's freshly revealed from melting glaciers. And very few people have ever stepped foot on some of the trails that we walk on this trip. Very few people have walked through the villages of the settlements that we'll explore. And very few people will have had a chance to meet Inuit culture like we will have. And knowing too that this is a place of environmental change, it makes me feel even more urgent to get people to Greenland, because it's a chance to see firsthand how melting glaciers are affecting our global ecosystem, but also how it's affecting local ecosystems. But then we also need to keep in mind that tourism is changing the environment too. And now that there are new flights, there's some direct flights to Greenland, to West Greenland. East Greenland is still off the beaten path and harder to get to. So when I'm somebody who always feels like when someone says, "Oh, I've been there," I want to say, "Have you really been there?" And to really be there is to go off the beaten path and to meet the people who live there and have a truly authentic experience. So Einar, do you want to tell us a little bit about Greenland in general as we look at the map?
Yes, just very briefly, Greenland is the biggest island in the world. I sometimes like to refer to it as the 8th continent. It's 5 times bigger than California or 4 times bigger than Texas. It's a really massive, big country. What's also unique about Greenland, it's so big, and the population is only 56,000 people. And they live spread out on the coast, mainly on the southern part of the island, southern half, should we say. And there are no roads that link one town or village to another, because it's so vast. The only way to commute is by boats or by planes, and in winter also with dog sleds and snowmobiles.
And helicopters.
Yeah, helicopters, I forgot that one. Yeah, so and Greenland is independent under the Crown of Denmark. So it's in connection with Denmark, but it has its own government and decides for most things their own fate. They do their own law and have their own tax rules, etc. So Greenland is independent. in most ways. And yeah, for those that will come to Greenland with us, you will learn also about the modern challenges of Greenland and the modern conflicts between Greenland and Denmark, the mother country, if we could call it that way. Yeah.
And then also one of the things we'll learn about as well is the Viking, some of the
True.
Viking sagas or the Viking stories of coming to Greenland, because there's a connection between Iceland and Greenland.
Yeah.
Yeah, you will learn that the whole story about Christopher Columbus is crap.
It's not for later.
That's so funny. Tell us how you really feel. All right. So East Greenland, Einar just pointed out, Greenland is a very big place. And when you say you're going to Greenland, it's like saying you're going to the United States. If you go to Florida, it's very different than going to the Pacific Northwest, for example. But we are gonna, our adventure focuses on East Greenland and the authentic experiences that East Greenland still have to offer, even though, well, even though it's harder to get to, but that's the reason why these authentic experiences and this pristine nature still exist. And so during our tour, we focus on exploring, it's a land-based tour. So we live in settlements on different islands, and we will travel by boat because, as Einar said, there are no roads. And we'll talk about, well, all the experiences you have just in transportation, just from getting from point A to point B, all the things that you can see and do. And then, of course, the hiking that we'll do to stretch our legs on this pristine landscape. And here is an overview of, here's an overview of East Greenland. And actually, I want to just jump ahead. Well, yeah, go ahead, Einar. Why don't you I have a different slide here showing which towns we're going to, but we can talk about it here. Do you want to do the overview, what the route is?
Yeah, so I think maybe you should jump to the other slide. Because
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so the names of the villages are circled with red, and the trip starts in Kulusuk, which is a tiny airport that was built there because there was a radar station, a part of a series of radar stations that were kind of spying on the Russians during the Cold War. And Kulusuk is a neat little island on the outside, so it's close to open water. And then from there we explore both to the north, to the Knud Rasmussen Glacier. You see there's a long blue line taking us up to a fjord called Karalefjord over there. And there we actually have 3 different glaciers that are calving into the ocean and calving icebergs. And the most spectacular one is the Knud Rasmussen Glacier. And Knud Rasmussen was actually the most famous Greenlandic explorer that did an extraordinary expeditions to discover both geography and culture of the Inuits. So I really would recommend that you would read the book of the big sled journey that he did. Yeah, and then we also have a trip over to the island called Aputsiak, which means the small glacier. That's just next to Kulusuk. And there we offer a walk on an ice field or a glacier. Really spectacular day as well.
And the ice cave.
And an ice cave.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if there is an ice cave, but yeah. Most of the time there is one.
If it hasn't melted away.
Well, the glacier will not have next summer. That's for sure. And then from Kulusuk we go to the Sermelik Fjord, which means the ice fjord, and into the Sermelik Fjord further north than the map shows us is a very powerful glacier system that constantly calves icebergs into the fjord, so it's really full of ice. And we sail across the fjord and around the icebergs, explore, go into the fjord of Johan Pedersen, which is also quite spectacular fjord next to the ice sheet itself, the main ice cap. And the main ice cap is the second biggest ice sheet in the world, next after the Antarctic ice sheet. And then we stay in a small hunters village, Tinnitekilak, for 2 nights. And that's just on the edge of the fjord, so you can actually see and hear the ice, because you hear it also. You hear cracking and breaking and melting and all sorts of sounds coming from the ice. And then from Tinnitekilak we go to Tasiilaq, the main town of the area, which is for them the big town with 2,000 people. And there you stay again in a hotel, as in Kulusuk in the beginning, and explore the nature and the culture. So that's a brief program. And in the end, we go back to Kulusuk, of course, to fly back home.
We cover a lot of ground, a lot of water. We cover a lot of water on this. And the reason, so moving forward, when I go over the highlights, it's easier to talk about the highlights than it is to talk about the itinerary, because what anybody going to Greenland needs to understand is that things can change, and weather will dictate what fjord you go into, what activities we're doing. And that's where having a team on the ground like Einar and Inga are so important, because they're all the moving pieces. If one piece moves, others need to move. So they'll be taking care of that. And you just get to show up and ask, what are we doing today? So there is an itinerary, and we stick pretty closely to it, but do know that you need to stay flexible when coming to Greenland, because it is truly an adventure.
True.
Yep. All right. Try to get out of my laser pointer. Okay, good. So this is what it's like to fly into, hold on a second. I don't know how to get out of the laser pointer. Hold on. Maybe I just do, oh, good. Phew. So this was my first look at Greenland as we were landing, and I wanted to share that with you. And I want you to see just how massive it is. These mountains coming straight out of the water, and all those icebergs that are floating. That's pack ice and icebergs. It felt like we were going to a whole nother planet. And then also, when you land, you feel like you've entered an outpost to to a remote place. And there are immigration is super easy. Immigration is super easy. You just you pass through pretty quickly, and then you pick up your luggage via tractor, and there's a bus there that will put our luggage in, and then we will walk to the hotel from there. Just like, I don't know, is it 10-minute walk? And you finally get a chance, and look at the background of the ladies behind you that are at the top. That's what it looks like from the airport. It's very, very beautiful. And I think that's where I decide, oh, hi, Inga. That's where I realized that the word that would describe this is wowsome. Oh, I stopped my sharing screen. Sorry about that. The word to describe this is wowsome. Because it's just wow and awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Arctic villages, and as being one of the highlights of this tour is the chance to be able to spend time in these settlements. And as Inga and Einar were talking about, some like these towns, many of them are like just a couple hundred people. The biggest one is 2,000. But to be able to just feel like you've been immersed into, I guess, village life is pretty beautiful. So these are really remote places, accessible only by boat. We throughout the tour will have different chances to meet with members of the Inuit communities there to learn about history, storytelling, talking about, they'll talk about hunting. Einar and Inga, anything else you want to just, is it overall like benefit of, or highlight that you want to talk about?
I mean, well, we see daily life going on in the villages, and I mean, of course, we are an observer of their daily life, but sometimes we have also possibility to interact with people and what they're doing, and I mean, we will stop and talk to them when we can and interact with them, and they are going on with their daily lives, like hunting and gathering and just doing their things, and it gives us great chance to see how their culture and life goes on as hunter and gatherers still up to this day.
Yeah, actually, I like the picture on the bottom left there, because what you see in the villages a lot is the hunters are going in and out on boats, going and coming, but it's a women's work traditionally to cut the seal.
Yeah, and this day we were fortunate enough that we came, this was in Kulusuk, and we met up with 2 women and their husband, or one husband or friend, I don't know. And they had just cut a gray seal, and they were cutting it down. They use the skin, they dry the skin, they cut up the fat and the meat, and they eat that. And so yeah, we witnessed the process of how they do it. So that is really, I think, really something, because this is one of the things that might die out. It has already, we did this here in Iceland when I was young, and now I don't think almost anyone is doing it any longer. This is a dying out tradition.
But it's important also about Greenland. A little fact is that without the seal, they would never have survived in that country. There's a connection between the population and the seal that is very important.
Yeah.
You know, I have to have a little anecdote, Tara, sorry, but
That's okay.
But you know, the prayer, "Give me today my daily bread." For Inuits, that meant nothing. They just asked, "What is bread?" They never ate bread. So
they had never seen bread.
So when they translated the prayer into Greenlandic, the prayer says, "Give me today my daily seal." Because when it's about providing food, the food is seal. Yeah. Okay, that was the anecdote.
No, that's great. Well, but that leads into, so Inuit people practice Christianity, but they also still practice paganism too, yes? Or not paganism, what is the Inuit religion?
It's like a shamanism.
Okay. It's not a paganism, it's shamanism.
Okay. Shamanism.
So they talk to spirits and interact with spirits.
Yeah, and there's very strong belief, for example, in ghosts. The spirits of the old are still there.
And do you want to describe what it's like for us? Like, why do we have a drum dancing experience? What does the drum dancer do, and what's their role?
There are many roles, actually.
Yeah. I mean, there are. The drum dancing has been used as an interaction during the centuries for different meanings. And one of their meanings was, for example, to if there was a quarrel between 2 men or 2 women or between 2 people, they would use the drum dancing to sort that out. And that's one of the way they use it. But they have been using it a different way, and they still have drum dancing has been kept alive in Greenland up to this day, luckily. And both women and men do drum dancing, and that's why we get drum dancing into our tour, because that's an important and vital part of their cultural life.
I mean, it is for entertainment, it's for talking to the spirits, it's for settling quarrels, it's
to get
It's,
work on. It's a psychology. You can also work out your difficult feelings if you have sorrow or things like
yeah,
that.
exactly.
So it's for so many purposes, and that's one of the things which is so beautiful on that tour. We learn about how they use these traditions and in different ways, and we get showcases about that. So that is really, I think that's something really special.
Yeah, definitely. And then also having a chance to have a guided tour of these museums that are like, sometimes it's not always the same museum, but a chance to just even see artifacts from, because for example, kayaking was invented in Greenland, to see some of the original kayaks and hunting tools, and just different things that have been collected and that really kind of bring the history to a tangible place. You can actually see the tools that were used.
Mm-hmm.
And then exploring this one's like kind of a somewhat modern winter house. And this is like, do you want to explain this just a little bit about this?
Yes, there are summer houses and winter houses. So
No,
this
summer tent.
summer tent, the summer houses were mainly just summer tents. They would be going around and they would have movable camps as they were going after their prey, and they were gathering also like flowers and berries and whatever they could take out from the nature. On the other hand, their winter houses is like on the right side, where we are sitting inside one of the winter houses, where the families would live during the winter time. And you can see on this side, on the left side, you can see like 3 bunks. And so each family had their bunk, and so that was their home, and they shared the communal space together. And so there were 3 families living, for example, in this typical winter house. And so we get to visit these winter houses and see how they were done, and the artifacts that were in there, and how they lived there, and how it was. And yeah, it's kind of interesting to see how many people could live in these small houses during a whole winter in the darkness. Because
yeah, I think I learned the most. I learned so much on this tour. I was like, I couldn't believe how many people were living in there. And I think that's also where we found out if the men died hunting, a husband died while hunting, that could have been the death of the family too, because the women didn't hunt. So that was, and then there's other artifacts in there, and describing how they cooked, or where they slept, or using the sinew to make as thread. Like really informative.
Yeah.
And then also a chance to go to the artist workshop. And this is where a lot of us purchased tupeleks, which we had learned from the shaman. Well, not about from the shaman. We learned from the dancer what shamans would use these tupeleks for. These little, like, that they could be that could be protectors, or they could be something you put like to keep to harm your enemy too. So you could buy these in there. What are they made from? Like caribou horns and
yeah, mainly from caribou horns, but they are also using bones and teeth from diverse animals like polar bear and narwhal and so on. But you are not allowed to buy those items and bring them over to the state. You can buy them, but you have to leave them there.
Yeah, so the caribou mostly is used for this because of it's not protected as a species, and then they're also using wood.
Yeah, but what is nice, I always like to go to that workshop, because there you get to meet the artists when they are working on their projects, and so you can buy directly from them. So the money, they are not going through the process from one person to another that will then sell it, and the artist will get a little bit of money. They will get all the money that are sold. They sell the pieces for. So I think that's a really good way to give back to the community that we are visiting. And especially, I mean, some of these works that they do there are really, really beautiful, like really a piece of art. So it's a good buy if you're into these kinds of souvenirs.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, I think everybody bought one of those there, and I love mine. And it felt like it spoke to me. I knew and we were all like looking for the right tupilak. Like, what is it? Mine looks like it's a bone that has, it looks like a raven's face on one side and like a monster on the other. I love it. It brings me good memories, and I think it brings me good luck. Okay, so getting from point A to point B, as we talked about, no roads, we go by boat. So what are the boats like? And although we do go on the ocean, it's rare, like I don't recall any very rough or heavy seas. So even our people who came with motion sickness, who came stating, I get motion sickness, tell me when to take Dramamine. We had very calm seas. Einar, is that typical? Pretty
Yes.
calm seas.
Yeah.
Okay. And
The
and you
weather
notice
system in Greenland is very often quite calm. It has, I think it's because of the ice field. It has a high pressure.
It's
over
high pressure area over the ice cap that
keeps it quite stable.
keeps this climate stable in general.
so this is a nice photo. We were doing whale watching in this at this time. I was on another boat looking at one of our other boats, and I wanted to show here that you aren't confined to just the inside of the boat. You can walk around and go to the bow. You can go up on top. So it's a lot of really great like places to get photos and different points of view. And then also on the inside, this is a funny photo because Lori, one of our participants, also trip leader, she was acting like she was driving. You can see everybody is panicking about it. But this shows you how much room is inside the boats and what the seating is like. And there's big windows and it's heated. So you're not exposed to the elements constantly of being on these boats going from point A to point B. And then on the left, this is what it looks like looking out the front of the boat to the bow, where there were 2 seats in the front as well. And then you can walk around, go outside on the back part of it too. And do know that this is how we get in and out of boats. Notice there's really there's no like dock. It's a jetty that is being worn away by the elements. But you can see that there's always a hand to help you, whether it be the guides who are down at the base, front of the boat helping you in, or our fellow travelers who are inside giving you a hand to give you extra points of contact. So this is how we get in and out of the boats. And we also have to take our luggage. Our luggage goes when we change different accommodations. Our luggage will be transferred from the boat to the shore, and then we have to walk them up to our accommodations. So it's important not to bring too much. Go ahead.
Only in Tinnet. Do you remember we had
Yes.
cars?
Oh, just the one place that we had to do it. Yeah. And here's another view of getting off the boats to do a little bit of a land excursion. Notice people are getting off onto some slippery, wet rocks. And this is it's about being careful of where you're stepping and taking your time. And here's a typical view as we're on our commute, big icebergs. And we'll see, so big icebergs that have all different shapes and some more intense blue colors than others. And we'll be looking for wildlife around them, from seals to birds and whales. There was rumor that there was a polar bear around last year. We never got to see that polar bear. I wouldn't come on this tour hoping to see polar bears. It's very, very unlikely, but it's plausible. And this is what you see as you're like what the driver sees up ahead, navigating. And this part is just, I think, like exciting to witness all alone, just watching the captain navigate around all these chunks of ice. And I took a video of it, and you can see here as can you hear the audio on this? I don't think you can. Yes?
No,
okay, I didn't think so. That's good. So I'm talking about navigating through here, and here you can see the iceberg below the water line, and we're just kind of we were backing up because there was actually kind of a blockage. So he has to maneuver to take us out of this this backup. But it's just so beautiful. I never got tired of the ice. Einar, you keep going to Greenland. Do you get tired of the ice at all?
No.
No.
Then I wouldn't go to Greenland.
Exactly. If you don't like ice, you don't go. If you don't like ice, you shouldn't go to Greenland.
I mean, ice has an endless variety of forms and shapes.
Yeah, so look at this is just really beautiful scenery that is breathtaking. It's so crystal clear and our like the air is fresh. And notice we're like the only ones out there. There's not a bunch of boats. We are the boats that are out there. So it feels like we have the place to ourselves. And on this trip, we also stopped by the captain found a stable iceberg, and we got out and walked on the iceberg. We're floating in the middle of the Arctic Ocean on this iceberg. Very, very neat experience, and it was definitely a highlight for the group. And we take the boats to go see different glaciers. This is the Tidewater Glacier. This is the Rasmussen Glacier. Yes, Einar?
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
And we
there
had
you also have more typical East Greenlandic weather.
Yes, you've been seeing some of our photos that are kind of rainy and dreary. And last year was kind of a cold and wet year. But we had a couple of days that were sunny, and this was one of those beautiful sunny days. And we had a picnic out on that rock and walked around a little bit, and there was not another person out there. It was just us in Greenland and a fjord to ourselves, which is typical. And then on our way, at one point on this journey too, we had some very spectacular whale watching experiences. So humpback whales were hanging around, and we got to see them feeding. And this is a beautiful double tail video of them sounding or diving down. But we also got to see them lunge feeding and doing a bubble net feeding. And it wasn't like they were very far away. They were probably, I don't know, 50 feet away. And with bubble net feeding, they cooperatively dive down and they blow bubbles from their blowhole and create this bubble net, and then stun the fish, and then the whales will come up and gulp them at the surface. We stop at an old World War II military base, a U.S. military base called Bluey 2, and walk around the ruins. And I never thought of looking at a bunch of junk was going to be so pretty, but it's super. There's so much to photograph there, some artsy photos, and also this could just be the woo-woo in me, but when we were walking on that airstrip, I could feel the energy. Because it's just a dirt road airstrip now, but like I could feel what it was like to hear those planes landing and the energy of a place that once was. But there are these like the military, when they left, what year was it that they leave there?
This Ecatec base was abandoned in the 40s, not so long after the war, but
Okay.
it actually played
46, I think.
Played an essential role during the war for transporting airplanes to the UK. So they were flown from the US over Canada to Goose Bay, from Goose Bay to South Greenland, and then to East Greenland, and then to Iceland, and then to Scotland. And it's actually an opportunity to learn also about the role of the Arctic during the war, and especially Greenland. Greenland had an important, position in the war, and an important part of the story, So yeah.
Yeah,
it's quite
not a lot of people know that.
Not a lot of people know about that,
Yeah.
but it did.
Play a significant role.
Yeah, it was important.
Yeah, so there's a lot to be told of that, and so I know you talk about it there, but also as part of the ice sheet too, they're discovering remnants of the military's involvement from like sub-ice bases, installations, nuclear reactors, all sorts of things that the US government had in the ice in Greenland. Okay, so then the next thing we'll talk about is the hiking. And for hiking, just know that this isn't difficult hiking. Our highest elevation, I think, is 1,000 feet. Is that it? Like 3,000 meters?
Yeah.
Is that what big 3,000 meters? Yeah. So it's not.
No, not 2,000 meters.
300 meters.
Yeah, 350. meters.
It's at 350 meters. Okay, 3,000 meters is like,
Oh, that would
our
be
highest elevation is
significant.
3,000 meters. It's nothing to worry about here.
No problem. 10,000 feet.
So 300-ish to 400 meters.
It's modest. It's modest.
Yeah, it's very modest. And what I wanted to show you here is just what you could expect with some of the hiking. And for those of you who always ask, like, you know, I don't know, how difficult is it? It's not difficult. You're basically carrying your water, a lunch, your rain gear, your binoculars if you have them, just stuff you need for the trail. And as we talked about, our trip last year was actually a more rainy and colder summer than typical of the region. But you can see how the ladies are all dressed and prepared for this type of weather. You should expect rain, but be happy that it's sunny. And what I love is that there are no marked trails. We were just following Einar and Inga. They were taking us on paths. Einar also does like trekking, Arctic trekking on through the fjords, and so he knows the area really well and took us to some very scenic and beautiful places. And some of them include walking through villages, to exploring tundra and beautiful little creeks, and just taking in amazing scenery. I think one of the misconceptions maybe people might have of Greenland is that it is just all ice and barren rock, but everywhere life is clinging to these rocks. And this is it's called the Arctic fireweed, Arctic beauty.
Fireweed or Arctic river beauty.
Yeah,
which is the national flower of Greenland.
And it is so beautiful. You know, in the environment, in the nature there. And then also to be able to see these beautiful icy fjords as we're walking along. And when I was, one of the times I actually was walking, I was in one of the towns, I was in Tassilak, walking along the shore, and I heard like what sounded like a whale. And I looked out there and I could see a whale among the ice and like in the blow, and I could hear it breathing. And it echoes in the fjords, and you can hear the ice cracking, and it's just so peaceful and quiet. And that's, I think, really special because it's getting harder and harder to find the quietness of wilderness. And like I said, colors everywhere, clinging to the Arctic environment, the tundra, and this is like alpine tundra. So it's just neat to pay attention to the little things as well as the big horizons. And I also love that, you know, they say, you know, when you go to a national park, you're not supposed to collect rocks. I learned that why when I went to Greenland, because when I looked down at my feet, there were so many diverse minerals and different types of rocks of all different colors, of different weights. And that's because nobody had been there to take them. And I think that really gives the visitor a perspective of why we need to leave places as they are or make them better for having been there. And that even collecting one single rock, if thousands of people did that, they change the landscape. And so to be able to see a place with all the integrity there, it was very inspiring and influential to me. And to look at the different types of terrain here. So you do walk, you're not walking on a trail, and you see that we're walking on, you know, these little do you call them tundra, Arctic tundra? What do you call these plants?
It's not really
Mosses?
a tundra, but this is actually mainly working on the crowberry plant there.
Oh, the crowberry, yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
I'm just trying to think what's
We are actually going through Arctic forest there.
yeah,
Oh,
the tree, the big trees there are actually, you know,
Willows.
Arctic willow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the willows, yes. But they're using trekking poles to help give them stability as they're coming down. So I think this is when it comes to walking or hiking on our tour, it's just knowing that you got to have some mobility. You're walking on uneven terrain, and it can be slippery or wet. And so you need to have good shoes and trekking poles and be careful. And then here's a video of just like kind of the typical going up. We're not doing anything much bigger than this, but you see it's uneven terrain, it's rocks that you're walking on.
We do go slowly and we take our time, and it's not a
It's not a
rush.
race. No.
We take
Yeah,
time
no
to
rush.
stop and look at things and
Mhm.
take pictures and stuff like that.
And finally, this a hike that we do is on ice, and we're given crampons and helmets, and we're led by a glacier guide, and we go hike on this Apuchak Island. That's
Yes.
and what's the name of the glacier? Is it Apuchak Glacier?
Apuchak is the
Glacier.
name of the glacier actually,
Oh,
and
okay.
it means a small glacier.
Okay, and we go up on the ice and learn about the glacier glacier like terms. You know, we learn about moraine and crevasses and why the ice is blue, and you get a nice introduction to that ice. And then we get to go inside of an ice cave. And of course, the glacier is always changing and the ice caves are always changing. But like this video on the right shows just the little details inside of the ice cave as the air pockets are channels for melting water. And then also you get a chance to get in there and like, I always think whenever I go into ice caves, I feel like I'm in Superman's lair. And to know that less than a couple hundred people have been in this ice cave. It's not something where it's got a line out the door and people are all coming in. It was us and the ice cave, and we're one of the few people that will have ever been in there. Okay, so let's talk about the adventure details. Now that you've got an overview and hopefully you feel like you're getting excited about potentially going to Greenland and what East Greenland has to offer adventure seekers. So let's talk about the lodging and the meals, and we'll go over getting to Greenland, and we'll talk a little bit about the packing list. So the accommodations, this trip starts and ends in Reykjavik. So we provide 2 nights of hotels, two night hotel stays, one before that we go to Greenland and one when we return from Greenland in Iceland. And then there's 7 nights in 3-star hotels, and 2 nights are going to be in Greenlandic houses. The food is a variety of meals. So in Iceland, we'll go out to dinner at a restaurant, but when we're in Greenland, we have at the hotels, they have buffets, and they've got a lot of varieties of food. And quite honestly, I was surprised. There was lots of vegetable options, lots of meat options. And we have people who were vegan on the tour, but they were vegetarians for this tour. So I think really, and maybe Inga and Einar could jump in on this, is like, I think for a place where a boat comes in May and leaves in November and brings no other supplies, we ate really well on this island because everything has to be brought in. And I would say the only major dietary restriction that is hard to accommodate is vegan. And then if you fill in the blank, I can't live without whatever that is, that's going to be really difficult in Greenland. You got to have some level of flexibility. Do you have anything you want to share with regards to meals?
I mean, vegan is doable. It's just that the variety might be a little bit.
You might eat the same thing for the whole week.
Yeah.
It's not going to be only boiled pasta and ketchup though.
No, but it's just to say it. The vegan is not very easy to accommodate in Greenland. You can have vegetables and things like that, but they don't have a lot of vegan chicken breast or vegan whatever, and vegan cheeses or things like that. So it's that is the hard thing. So it's but vegetarian, like you said, it's quite easy. And if people eat fish, that's very easy.
Oh, lots. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But I was really pleasantly surprised. I wasn't sure what the food was going to be like. But at the restaurant, at the hotels, they have buffets. And then when we spend 2 nights in the Greenlandic houses, Inga is our cook, and Einar, if Einar's with us. And she makes amazing food. And it's all
from the ingredients that we get in Greenland.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so the trip starts in Reykjavik. So you get yourself to Iceland and then to the rendezvous hotel, which is basically right in like downtown, and you can walk in and explore Reykjavik. And we meet at the Leif Erikson Hotel, and then you're in our hands from that point forward. And we'll get you to your flight the following day to Greenland. So the first place we stay at is Hotel Kulusuk, and this, like, I was looking online for pictures of the hotels because I didn't take any pictures of the hotels. I just took pictures from the hotel, and they're really nice, simple hotels, and there's not many of them, and so you don't really have a lot of choices. And these are really great choices. And
Well,
to the
there
right,
is one.
What's that?
There is one hotel
Yeah,
One
right, there's-
in Kulusuk and one in Tasiilaq. and that's
Exactly.
it.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. There's your choice.
Yeah.
And so on the right, you can see what a double room looks like, simple accommodations, but look at the view, looking out at the fjord. But even if you don't have a room with the view, you can go in the dining room. There's a beautiful view of the fjord. And here's Nora with her meal. And I think she's got some lentils and peas and, a fish. So lots of options, but most importantly, a glass of wine. They have a bar, and yeah, so plenty of a seating area. But this is that picture I took that night from the hotel, and this gives you an idea of midnight sun. So when you're there, it's going to be close to 18 or 19 hours of daylight, and this is right outside the hotel at, like, I don't know, 2 a.m.
It doesn't really get dark in July, so I mean,
Yeah. I think
you
this
have-
it
you
like
kind of
got
have
a
a
little
couple of
dark.
hours of this,
Yeah,
sunset and sunrise is kind of combined into one.
but this was so beautiful. I fell in love with the midnight sun that night. And then another town is Tasiilaq, and this is actually I should have put these in a different order because this is the end of the tour in Greenland. But Tasiilaq is the big one. It's the 2,000 people. And I was trying to find a picture of the hotel, but I can only find one in winter. So on the right, it's not going to look like that. But you can see where the hotel is up there on the cliff, looking out over the fjord. And the picture on the left is actually taken from the sauna that's at the hotel. So both those hotels have a sauna. And so it's something you could take advantage of during your stay there as well. But here's a view of the inside of this hotel, a really great dining area. There's also a seating area, like a book room and a game room. They have their accommodations are, twin beds, and I thought they're pretty spacious hotel rooms. And the bathroom you can see, which is very typical bathroom you even see in Iceland too, with the shower and toilet all combined. But it's still a very clean and really nice accommodations. And then we in the middle between those, we stay in Tinnet, which is a small settlement that has a couple hundred people. And do you want to just talk a little bit about Tinni?
Yeah, Tinni has about 100 people.
Oh, 100 people. Okay.
Yeah, and so it's a very tiny little small settlement. It has one store, a grocery store that sells about everything from guns, clothing, and food. And then it has one service house where people can go shower and do washing in washing machine there, because usually people don't have that in their houses.
They don't have water.
Yeah, they don't have
Not running water.
And so they go to the service houses for that. And then there is schools and yeah, like community houses. But other than that, it's just the typical houses like you see on the pictures. These are typical Inuit houses. They're not very big. They have a nice living room and kitchen downstairs usually. And on the top floor, they have rooms. So yeah, this is inside. So this is, they had a dining area, the kitchen behind, and then we have like a living room. So it's not really big, but it's big enough for a group like us. And
Yeah,
usually we have at least 2 or 3 houses like that when we have groups. So we sleep in different houses, but we have like our communal houses, which has the bigger kitchen and the bigger dining hall and the living space.
And this is just for our groups. We're not sharing the houses with anybody.
We don't
It's
share
just
with
us.
anyone.
Yeah.
This is ours for the 2 nights we are there.
And remember, there isn't any running water for these homes. So we go to like a fill station and bring water in for drinking and for cooking. There are toilets that are almost like pit toilets, that for each house, some have a compost with the incinerating toilet, one had an incinerating toilet. But
Incinerated
anticipate
toilet.
that you'll be using more of like a pit toilet. And there's no showers here for 2 nights, so you'll be using like wet wipes and stuff. But it is truly a unique experience to sleep in the villages, to stay in a village, and where there is no tourist infrastructure. So that's what's so unique about this.
True.
Yes, I think it's important to go and see how people live and experience it firsthand. I mean, we are so privileged when we stay in hotels, you know, with all our luxury things like running water, running toilets and showers and saunas and whatever we have. But I think it's also good for us to remind us that a lot of people do not have that chance in the world, and I mean, we are just doing it for 2 nights. So yeah, I think it's good to live the Inuit way.
It's a
2 nights.
highlight, not a sacrifice. It's
No.
a highlight. Yeah.
I always want people to see how it really is, you know, to really live the experience. I think that's amazing.
One of the things I loved about Tinny was I remember looking out the window from my bed, and when I first got to Tinny, I thought I was just looking at a glacier, and then I realized it was an iceberg the size of like an Amazon warehouse. I'd never seen, we had seen icebergs at that point, but I'd never seen an iceberg that big. And then looking out my bedroom window, every day that iceberg was just a little bit further down the fjord. And just imagine how big below the iceberg had to be and how deep the fjords have to be in order to get for that iceberg to float out. And that was really, really neat.
Mm-hmm.
So getting to Greenland, it starts in Iceland. So you travel to Keflavik airport and you transfer on your own to the Rendezvous Hotel in Reykjavik, which we talked about. The package price already includes the hotel in Reykjavik, so that's taken care of, and a welcome dinner that night. And then the next day we transfer together to the airport again, and we fly. You have the whole day actually in Reykjavik to explore because the flights are in the evening from Keflavik to Kulusuk. And the flight is also included. So the flight itself is almost $1,000. It's like $930 US. So that's included in the price, and we fly as a group. And what to pack? So fortunately, we got to show you pictures of not stormy, but kind of rainy, overcast weather. But you don't have to think of Greenland like you're going to go and explore the Greenland ice cap. You think of Greenland as a place like a spring-like place, not a winter place. And anticipate the temperatures between about 40 degrees Fahrenheit to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. 70 on a really, really good sunny day, right? And so we give you detailed packing list on what to bring, but the main thing is layering, layer up. So you want to have like a merino wool base layer, and then an insulating mid layer, and then a rain jacket and rain pants. Those are essential items. And like a puffy jacket also for maybe a dry, cool day. For footwear, you're gonna want hiking boots and non-cotton socks and a pair of indoor shoes or slippers or sandals so that you have something to wear inside the houses or hotels. And then you'll bring a backpack so you can carry your stuff when you're hiking. It doesn't have to be a big backpack. 25 to 30 liter pack is okay. And trekking poles for stability. But then a bug head net is a must. The little mosquitoes and gnats can be bad in places.
Let's underline can. Let's underline can. Not always.
They can, exclamation point, be bad, and they're an annoyance. So by having a head net, that could keep that annoyance to a minimum.
Yeah, but most of the time, a good repellent cream is, or what do you call it? Is
a mosquito repellent?
Yeah, a mosquito repellent is normally enough.
I think because I was wearing like my jacket all the time, I never had issues with mosquitoes biting me. But if it's a warm day, you'll want mosquito repellent because you're not wearing your jacket and you're down to like t-shirts and stuff. Or they go through I know they can go through even some light like merino wool or pants. They can get through that. Okay, so how do you sign up? Well, you go to greenadventures.com, and I'll pull that up in a second. You can go to the women's tours and click on Greenland. But in general, the early bird price is $8,695. Remember, that includes, it's 11 days. So that's all inclusive from dinner on day 1 to breakfast on day 11. Includes all your meals in Greenland, and it includes all your accommodations too, and the flight from Greenland or Iceland to Greenland and back. And right now we're offering $200 deposits to secure your spot until January 15th. So you can secure your spot and then start paying in installments, which are interest-free installments. Let's see here. I want to show you the. So here's what the booking page looks like, and you can see that I am showing you the booking page, right? Do you see that?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, so you can see the early bird package. The regular price is $9,500, so you're saving nearly $1,000 to sign up by January 15th, and or I'm sorry, by February 15th. And then you can read more of the details here. The group size minimum is 10, maximum is 12. It has all the links to where we're staying. Talks a little bit about meals. It has an FAQ section, so you can read a little bit more into that. And you can look at the itinerary. It says all the inclusions. And then at the bottom here, you meet your guides. It talks about, flights there, the day-to-day itinerary. And of course, you can always ask questions if you have any questions. So with that said, does anybody have any questions? And you're welcome to turn your cameras on now if you'd like. If you have some questions, you'd like to ask me, Inga, or Einar. We've got a couple of people who are on the tour on this call. Rosie is on the tour, and Deb Hansen is on the tour.
Yeah, and I hope that the other ones that are out there looking at
I know. I hope that you'll join us. Yes.
And it's important to sign up as early as possible, because the flight prices, as further we get into closer to the date, the prices of flight go higher and higher and higher. Yeah. And that's why Tara can offer it cheaper right now, because we get cheaper flight prices in the early season. Mm-hmm. So please sign up.
Yes, please sign up. We are, yeah. Good. I looked at the chat. Doesn't seem like anybody had any chats. Nothing in the chat. All right. Well, I thank you guys. Thank you, Inga. Thank you, Einar, for staying up till 1 a.m. 1:04 a.m. to answer questions and to.
You're almost asleep here.
I know. Well, you could have fooled me.
No.
And it's always nice to see you.
We're on a vacation now, so it's fine.
Are we?
Yes, we are always.
I think I'm okay.
No, just kidding.
It's always great to talk with you both, and I look forward to going to Greenland with you and sharing this adventure with our new adventure buddies. So I'll talk to you soon, and thank you everybody for joining.
Thank you, Tara.
Thanks.
Okay. Bye-bye.